Why did my grandpa have a grip like an absolute vice well into his 80s, while so many guys today are literally losing their balance and muscle mass by age 65? Seriously, I used to sit there and watch him haul these massive bags of concrete and lumber like they were absolutely nothing. And the crazy thing? He never once bought one of those giant, overpriced tubs of fitness powder. It got me thinking and frankly a little freaked out about my own future. You know, are we doing something totally wrong with our modern diets? Well, I went on a bit of a personal detective hunt right into his old pantry, and what I found completely blew my mind. Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving deep into a 1960s secret. It's a humble 43-cent grocery store staple that actually packs up to 20 times more bioavailable creatine than any modern supplement out there. I'm going to hold off on revealing this ultimate pantry miracle until the very end, so you definitely want to stick with me. We are unpacking the exact vintage grocery list that built that unbreakable senior strength. Let's get into it.
So are modern supplements actually failing our aging muscles? The reality is honestly pretty scary. We are talking about age-related muscle wasting, arterial stiffening, literally the exact stuff that robs you of your independence as you hit your 60s and beyond. We chug down these isolated powders hoping to freeze the clock, but half the time that powder just passes right through our systems. But hey, here's the hope. You don't need some expensive, complicated supplement stack. There are cheap, everyday grocery staples out there that totally outperform those tubs of powder because of how our aging bodies absorb them. We literally just forgot how to eat them. It turns out your skeletal muscle can hold strong through decades of physical labor, but only if you know what to eat. Researchers over at places like McMaster University and the University of Exeter have totally backed this up. See, our grandparents were eating these Depression-era whole foods that delivered up to 20 times more bioavailable creatine than the stuff sitting on supplement store shelves today. They were getting it straight from the butcher barrel and the tin can, and their bodies just soaked it right up.
Section 1. Reclaiming the humble poultry.
We're talking about something sitting in almost every senior's fridge right now, the humble chicken thigh. It's a super budget-friendly protein, but nobody ever associates it with muscle building or creatine, right? Well, the biology here comes down to phosphocreatine. Think of it as a cellular energy currency stored right there in your skeletal muscle. It regenerates ATP when you need a sudden burst of physical effort, like getting up from a deep chair or catching yourself before a stumble turns into a bad fall. The slow-twitch oxidative fibers in dark meat, exactly like chicken thighs, naturally self-concentrate this energy currency to meet their constant demands. We're talking about roughly 3.4 to 4 grams of creatine per kilogram of raw flesh. That is meaningfully higher than your standard, boring chicken breast.
Now, the absolutely crucial point here is how you cook it. Get a load of this number, 80%. That is the vintage cooking secret. If you grill that thigh on the barbecue and toss the drippings, you're losing almost half the creatine. But researchers at the University of Copenhagen found that if you boil or slow cook those thighs in a liquid, the broth preserves up to 80% of the raw creatine content. You simmer the thighs, you drink the broth, and you get massive muscle-building bang for your buck at under 60 cents a pop. You don't even have to change what you eat, man. You just need to change how you prep.
Moving right along to Section 2, rethinking your red meat.
Let's take a quick walk over to the butcher counter, because for guys over 60, it's not just about slamming down a steak. The specific cut and exactly how that animal lived its life completely dictates whether that meat heals your aging tissue or actively hurts it. Check this out. A regular grain-fed cut carries a highly inflammatory omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of about 20:1. That drives inflammation that directly accelerates both sarcopenia and arterial stiffening. You're basically delivering creatinine straight into a toxic, inflamed environment. But grass-fed flank, that reverses the ratio to an anti-inflammatory 3:1. It provides the absolute perfect biological environment for the 4.5 to 5 grams of creatinine it naturally carries per kilo. Just swapping your regular cut to a grass-fed flank is literally the highest leverage single grocery decision you can make.
Then there's another old-school working-class staple you gotta know about: venison jerky. Guys used to pack this in their lunch pails just to get through a brutal factory shift. And biologically speaking, it is an absolute powerhouse. It has virtually zero cardiovascular conflict because it carries less than 2 grams of fat per 100-gram serving. Plus, it has this incredibly superior leucine-to-calorie ratio. Leucine is the specific amino acid that safely triggers mTOR1, which, if you don't know, is the primary signaling pathway for muscle protein synthesis. So you're getting concentrated creatine and the exact trigger needed to actually use it, all in one highly portable snack. It's awesome.
All right, Section 3, the ocean's hidden power.
We are leaving the butcher block behind and diving into some forgotten coastal staples. These are the exact ocean foods that built unbreakable senior strength for generations. 5 grams, that's the magic number. Mediterranean communities have eaten fresh calamari like Americans eat chicken, and modern cellular biology confirms that squid flesh packs approximately 5 grams of creatine per kilogram of raw tissue. But it's not just the creatine content that makes this a blockbuster food, guys. It's the massive amounts of taurine it brings right along for the ride.
So why does this combo matter so much? Because taurine acts as the biological lock that keeps creatine inside your cells. See, if your aging cells aren't properly hydrated, the creatine just enters and then leaks right back out, totally useless. Taurine drives the osmotic balance needed to volumize the cell and lock that creatine securely inside the muscle. A quick 4-minute sauté of fresh calamari rings with a little olive oil, garlic, and lemon delivers both the creatine and the taurine lock simultaneously. Honestly, it works better than any modern supplement stack you can buy at the mall. And speaking of the ocean, think about pickled herring for a second. Back in Depression-era general stores, you'd find wooden barrels of this stuff sold by the ladle. Because it's pickled and not cooked with high heat, there is absolutely zero thermal degradation of the creatine. You are looking at 6.5 to 10 grams of creatine per kilogram. A single 2 tablespoon serving delivers the equivalent of a giant powder scoop for roughly 10 cents. Plus, it's packed with taurine and selenium. I mean, it is literally the most creatine-dense food per dollar on the entire planet. No joke.
Moving on to Section 4, the ultimate organ fix.
During World War II, whole animal butchery wasn't some fancy culinary trend. It was pure economic necessity. And it led working families to the most nutrient-dense, dirt-cheap cut imaginable, beef heart. Think about it. The heart has to beat nonstop for a lifetime, right? So cardiac tissue naturally self-concentrates massive amounts of CoQ10 right alongside that creatine. CoQ10 is the mitochondrial cofactor that converts that creatine into usable ATP energy. You just can't get that specific, powerful combo in a regular steak.
Now, the absolutely crucial point for a lot of you watching is this. Statins might be quietly stealing your muscle energy. Listen to this, folks. About 56% of adults over 65 are taking statin medications. Those drugs actively block the mevalonate pathway that synthesizes CoQ10, creating a functional energy deficit that makes your muscles feel weak and tired all the time. But a 50 to 80 cent slice of beef heart, seared quickly in a pan, perfectly and simultaneously replenishes both the depleted CoQ10 and your muscle creatine levels in a highly bioavailable form. It's a total game changer.
And finally, Section 5, the 43-cent miracle. We've finally arrived, man. The moment I promised you at the very beginning of my little detective story. The ultimate secret weapon that kept farmers, factory workers, and soldiers unbelievably strong through the absolute worst economic collapse in American history. The wild-caught sardine packed in water. It is a literal self-amplifying creatine miracle. It packs roughly 4.5 grams of creatine per kilo, but what's truly incredible are the cofactors around it. EPA and DHA omega-3s, vitamin D, calcium, taurine, the whole shebang. The omega-3s actively improve insulin sensitivity, basically forcing that creatine directly into your aging muscle cells. And the vitamin D? It covers about 60% of a senior's daily requirement in one single tin, amplifying the whole anabolic effect. It's a perfectly complete biological package that requires zero cooking, and it'll run you about 89 cents a tin, meaning half a tin is literally pennies on the dollar.
Implementing this couldn't be easier. Here is your dead simple, actionable playbook for tomorrow. Step 1, drain the tin. Step 2, add a quick squeeze of lemon and a pinch of black pepper. Step 3, eat it with some whole grain crackers or toss it over a small bed of greens. That is it. If you eat just one tin, 4 days a week, you are securing unmatched biological leverage for about 43 cents a serving. No fancy blenders, no expensive prescriptions, just real, vintage food doing exactly what it was perfectly designed to do.
So I've got to ask you, which of these forgotten 1960s powerhouses are you adding to your pantry first? Drop a comment below with your own nostalgic food memories. What did your grandpa or your folks eat back in the day that just seemed to keep them tough as nails? Because, folks, the evidence is sitting right there in the grocery aisle right now. You have far more biological leverage over your own aging than you've ever been told. Your future strength, it's already waiting for you in your past. Think about that the next time you go shopping. Stay strong, keep moving, and I'll catch you next time.